with a shot just wide. Bouncing puck. They score. Hornsmith banked it in off Rene. Patrick Hornsmith.
Back-to-back championships for the Pittsburgh Penguins, leaving Crosby with back-to-back Stanley Cup wins, earning his place in history. John Shannon is here now with Sportsnet to be the Monday morning quarterback, Monday morning goalie.
Here's Johnny, and this is bittersweet because it's the last time we're going to use this set. You will be the last person we have to interview before we give away this synthetic ice rink that you were so kind to sign a little while ago.
Now, Dina, there's another phrase you got to remember. There's always next year.
There's always next
it's
year.
116 days before the start of the season.
Oh my gosh, she's already counting down.
Let's talk about what an exciting Stanley Cup season this was. I mean, we had some phenomenal games.
Kevin, it was probably one of the best, I think, in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, when you put in perspective the competition, the 16 teams, how tight everything was, how many overtime games, there were 27 overtime games of the 87 games. It was a remarkable Stanley Cup playoffs. It's one that, in many ways, the last series, we always worry that it's not as competitive because the rivals, they only play each other 2 or 3 times a year. It was a magnificent Stanley Cup final.
And the rivalry did play out like a soap opera, I'm going to say that. I mean, between PK, smack-talking Sid, and back and forth with the Listerine. I mean, this was stuff that the playoff dreams are made of, right? Because it's all the stuff that happens on the rink, off the rink.
I will tell you, the 60 days are crazy when you think about the rivalries and what people do to play. The guy who scored the winning goal, Patrick Hornquist, played it with a broken finger. Ryan Ellis probably had broken ribs. Justin Schultz had broken ribs. Nick Bonino tried to play and actually was on the ice last night, has a broken tibia.
Crazy.
And tried to play in the game. It was a remarkable. When you find out and feel what these players do and how they play the last few games, nowhere near 100%.
So 116 days until the season starts, but a few more months before the next playoff round begins.
Indeed.
And Toronto will be where?
Well, I'll tell you what, if the curve continues for the Toronto Maple Leafs, when you talk about competition for the Pittsburgh Penguins to win the Stanley Cup next year, the biggest obstacle might be right here in Toronto. This is a young team. Well, I don't know about dark horse. I think that with the young names that this team has, there are so many people that are going to be saying, watch out for the Maple Leafs. They may not win the Cup next year.
But they'll get closer.
But I'll tell you what, there will be no drought about playoffs for the Maple Leafs.
They serve notice. They serve notice this year. John Shannon, thank you very much for joining us.